But before we get started with today's video, I just want to say that I don't have a course to sell you because I see like that's what a lot of people do. I'm not trying to sell you anything. All I ask is that if you do have content marketing needs, that you'll think of me and we'll work together on a project, and give each other value and an ROI. Hey everyone, welcome back to another channel video. I know I don't post a lot. That's what we're trying to do. I'm trying to fix that, okay? So just bear with me. My name is Matthew Du. I'm a full-time freelance content marketer, and I just want to talk about freelancing, finding your niche, and building that side hustle. So if you're a freelancer or thinking about becoming one, starting off on this beautiful side hustle journey, here are some mistakes that I made that I think could have easily been avoided if I only knew what I was doing. Number one would have to be staying on freelancing platforms. Upwork, Fiverr, and freelancer.com. These are what I call the freelancing triumvirate. They're huge freelance marketplaces that I believe are the main reason why everyone says that freelancing is way too competitive and oversaturated. And while online job boards are an easy way to find new clients, especially if you're starting out, it's actually been found that only 6.3% of freelancers think this is an effective way to find new clients. Because if you think about it, there are 59 million freelancers in America alone, and only 145,000 core clients on the Upwork platform. Your best chance then is to get off these platforms, start building an audience, and networking your way through them. A second issue that I've seen personally freelancers make is taking on too many clients at a time. When I first started freelancing, I took on whatever job a client offered me, even if it was nowhere related to the portfolio that I wanted to build at the time. Admittedly, it's a great way to build experience and test the waters on different niches until you find the one that you want to focus on. But it's also the fastest way to burn out and overwork. When your work revolves around how much time you spend on a single project, burnout and a physical dissuasion for work could perhaps be the worst things that could happen to you. Now, there are a lot of variables that go into it, but more than anything else, you have to ensure that you're able to take on the extra work without experiencing a drop in quality. Now, the third beginner freelancer mistake that I see is charging too little. If you've ever been on freelancer platforms like Upwork or Fiverr, you'll know just how many jobs there are that offer work at ridiculously low rates. Hourly rates of less than $10 are abundant, and monthly projects with a budget less than $1,000 are a common sight. As a freelancer, you should know the value of your work. If you don't, I suggest you do a little bit of research and self-searching about the prices that you think you should be charging at using some of the questions that I like to ask myself. Now, here they are. If this was my only project, would I be able to live off the price for as long as I'm working on it? Have I increased my prices recently? Do I feel that this rate is fair? How much are other freelancers charging for the same work? Now, setting your freelance rates is a difficult task. It requires a lot of self-searching, a lot of market research, experience, and understanding the value that you provide. Asking yourself these questions is just the first step when setting up your freelance rates, because honestly, the final decision is always yours. Now, the fourth problem that I see beginner freelancers make is that they simply follow instructions. Many of my past customers were extremely excited when I brought in a fresh perspective and my own ideas into this project. I mean, after all, you have positioned yourself as an expert in this niche. And by providing fresh ideas and making quality recommendations, you not only increase the likelihood of success of the project, but you also leave a positive, lasting impression on your client so that they could refer you to work for more people, or that they could give you another project later on down the line. Because just like any relationship between a business and a client, you don't come in and just give the bare minimum. Come in and give your very best at all times. And don't be afraid to speak up. Because remember, you are hired for your expertise and knowledge on the subject. Your input matters. The fifth mistake that I see beginner freelancers make is not having a contract. Now, truth be told, I was guilty of not having a freelance contract when I first started working as a freelancer, but that's because I found all of my work through online job boards. Now let me tell you a story about one of the first clients I ever took offline. When they approached me and asked me to write content for their website, I quickly gave them my usual rate, which is usually just writing the content. Because at the time I didn't do headers, I didn't do titles, I didn't do meta descriptions. I had no idea how to do that. I do now, but that was back then. And I didn't realize that they wanted me to come up with everything. And what ended up happening was that I committed myself to a job that severely underpaid me. Now, if I had a contract, I would have been able to clarify all these points and get my role and responsibilities written down for future reference. But I didn't. So, lesson learned. Now, another mistake I made as a beginner freelancer was not networking. Past clients are the best marketers for your business. Over 33% of freelancers get their next job through referrals. I know so many freelancers who get on Upwork, Fiverr, or freelancer.com and never leave. And that's fine if that's where you want to be. But the problem with these platforms is that once you're done working with a client, you'll probably never see them again. And that's because you weren't able to cultivate a relationship with the client. That's why I like to ask for their LinkedIn, their email. I like to keep in touch even after the project's done, ask how it's doing, and really build that relationship, because you won't get a client referral through these platforms. Your best bet is to build real relationships, network in real life, and work your way through there. Now, the next tip is failing to communicate. And just like earlier when we were talking about setting up your contract, I want you to communicate every single detail that you have about the project with your client. I want you to communicate your deadlines. I want you to communicate your modes of communication. I want you to communicate about communicating, okay? Because you should always be clarifying things with your client. You should repeat, confirm, and communicate. Those are my 3 tenets. This whole process will ensure that you and your client are on the same page. One of my earliest clients asked me to write an article about taxes for freelancers. I did some research, found the forms that you needed to submit, and where you can find them. What I didn't know was that my client already had a set list of headers that he wanted included in the article. He didn't send it over, and I didn't ask for it. What ended up happening was I wasted 3 days of work for something that I had to redo, and it all could have been solved if only I had better communication. Be accessible to your clients and make sure that they know you're open for questions and that you have a point of contact in case you have questions yourself. The last mistake I see beginner freelancers make is giving up. This is honestly the saddest beginner freelancer mistake that I see happen all the time. People get sold on the idea that this is a get-rich-quick scheme. It's really not. Freelancing is a marathon, it's not a sprint. I think of freelancing as a business. And how many businesses do you know start off making $1 million right away? Building a brand and an identity as a freelancer is just as important as having the skills to make money. It requires time and effort. So if you're just starting off as a freelancer, don't give up. Keep honing your skills and keep applying to more projects. That's it for today's video. I hope that these tips help you avoid the beginner freelancer mistakes that I made. Subscribe to the channel, visit us at monasticspaces.com, and I can't wait to be part of your freelance journey.